John McAfee didn't just build antivirus software. He helped create the digital world's immune system. And then he became something else entirely different. A millionaire turned fugitive, a tech pioneer turned crypto evangelist, a man who claimed powerful people wanted him silenced. By 2020, U.S. prosecutors accused him of hiding over $20 million in income tied to crypto deals and promotions. He was arrested in Spain, facing up to 30 years in prison. 9 months later, June 23, 2021, just hours after a court approved his extradition, John McAfee was found dead in his prison cell. Official ruling, suicide. But before his death, 2 years earlier, he warned, "By suicide myself, I didn't." That single line turned his death into a global question mark. Was it desperation? Was it fear of prison? Or did a man who lived on the edge simply script his own final mystery? Because here's the truth. Because John McAfee didn't just build software, he built a persona that made truth harder to separate from performance. And in the end, that might be the most dangerous kind of legacy there is.
Welcome to the Retrospect podcast, a show where people come together from different walks of life and discuss a topic from the generation's perspective. My name is Ian, and as always, I'm joined by Stoney.
Hello.
And Jason.
Hello, everyone.
How's it going?
Oh, doing pretty good.
Yeah?
I feel like I'm finally kind of getting out of the funk that I had been in with my coronavirus 43 or whatever it was called.
Right.
Sickness. So
I agree. I think I'm on the tail end of whatever I had as well.
Yeah.
So
I was able to go out and run today. So
it's a beautiful day today.
I was able to get out and run today at lunch and got my 5 miles in. So felt pretty good, even though I feel like I've kind of lost a step.
How long does it take you to run 5 miles?
Right now I think it's around 53 minutes.
Okay.
Wow. Okay.
Normally it would be. I don't know. Sometimes I think the fastest I've run it somewhere around 45.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm not really pushing it. I've been having hamstring issues.
Okay.
So I find that if I take my stride gets a little too wide,
Yeah.
I start having problems, and I think it's tied to my lower back. I've got injuries there from just working out over the years.
Yeah.
But I ran Tuesday, and then today's Thursday, so I usually try to run twice. So I run 5 miles a pop each time I go. Now my sister has surprised me and said she wants to run a half marathon.
Okay.
So I told her, I said, she asked me, would you run with me? And I said, well, absolutely. So I told her, I said, well, go ahead and start running.
Yeah.
And so I think that race will be in January. So next January.
Wow.
Is she already a runner, or did she just wake up one day and think, I want to do this?
She was always, she'd work out a little bit.
Yeah.
She'd work out in the gym, or she did Pilates or what. I forget exactly some of the stuff she was doing, but she never really a runner.
Right.
I didn't really get into running until my 40s, so I'm kind of late to that world. So we're gonna, I'll probably start to, we'll kind of keep it. I'll stay around 5.
Yeah.
Especially we're starting to get into the hot months.
Oh yeah.
And then when it starts cooling down again, I'll start trying to push it to, if I can get to 8-9 miles, then I'm comfortably can do it.
How many miles is a half marathon?
13.1.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Because I ran the full.
Yeah, right.
26.2.
Okay.
That took me 5 hours to do.
I forgot about that.
Did that last year.
Yeah.
And, but yeah, I've done a number of halves. I can usually, now I don't know if I can do that like right now, but
right.
I can usually do a half in about
With the
2
prep
hours.
for it, yeah.
That's usually kind of my goal, 2 hours, sometimes 2 hour 10, just depends on, how I feel.
Yeah.
And if I'm not having any leg problems or knees or ankles or, everything else. But so I'm excited about that. So I'm excited for my sister to join me on a run like that.
Yeah.
And but she told me the other day, she goes, Jason, I'm really enjoying retirement. I went,
Yeah.
Retirement's good.
That's
ain't
good.
It?
That's
She
awesome.
goes, I can just kind of do what I want to do. I went, yeah, I know, it's nice, ain't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, she's doing fine. So
That's
she's
awesome.
so that's kind of the kind of thing we're doing right now. So hopefully my body will cooperate. I can because I haven't run that far since last year. I mean, I haven't done anything more than about 5 miles since March of 2025.
Wow.
So it's going to take a little bit to kind of get back to at least that, because a half marathon is actually more physical.
Really?
Yeah, a full marathon is more mental.
I've heard.
Yeah.
I've heard a full marathon can be.
It starts playing with you after a while. Mentally, it's like, I'm still running. It's like 3-4 hours later, and you're still running. It's like, now, unless you're one of these like super duper type people who really are that can knock these. I mean, I know people can do full marathons and 3.5, 4 hours, easy. But not me. Not me. I'm not that kind of runner.
Yeah.
So I just, it's kind of late to try to do that. If I was if I was your age, then absolutely. But not at my age now. It's a little too hard on the body, even though the doctor keeps telling me you need to stop doing all that, Jason. Going to need new knees at
Really?
60 years old. I'm like, well.
Your doctor is trying to tell you to convince you to stop running?
Yeah.
Interesting.
They need to do something else, like go swim or do low impact, because just that pounding the concrete.
Yeah.
So that's why I just try to limit it to like twice a week. Some people run like every day, and that I can't do that. But twice a week's max.
Yeah.
For me. So cool. Yeah, doing well though.
That's good.
So it's
been pretty chill here. Nothing too crazy's happened. It's been a pretty fun week. The weather's been really nice. So,
weather has really been nice.
It's been a good week.
Yeah, I don't know when we're gonna have another rain. I need to get out and do my yard. I want to do weed and feed.
Yeah,
but I don't want to put all that out until I know it's going to be raining.
Yep.
So I sure don't want to put the sprinkler out there. I just to me, you just don't really get the coverage.
Yeah. There may be some rain at the top of this coming week, as of recording. So potentially there could be some rain Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, potentially. So
okay. Well, that's I just need something. So we're kind of right now in a dry period.
If you're listening to this on its release, maybe it's raining right now. Who knows?
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, when this drops, it might be raining.
All right. So what we got for today?
Well, we're talking about John McAfee.
Yeah.
My first question is there any records of Hillary Clinton visiting him in Spain? Because death by suicide sounds awful familiar, doesn't it?
It's a calling card, I think, at this point, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Is there any records?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, this John McAfee, it's so funny. I remember this. Of course, everybody remembers.
Every computer nerd knows who John McAfee is.
I mean, we all remember seeing that box on at a store about antivirus.
It wasn't McAfee. It was Norton. That was the other one.
Yeah,
that was the other big one.
But he's kind of the godfather of just that whole thing. And
I think in '87 he started his stuff. I mean, computers really were coming out in '85 and '84-ish, where people really started getting them. But then all of a sudden, they were starting to get viruses too. And he was a pioneer.
Yes, he was. But yeah, he ended up, the guy just ended up being I think he was a billionaire.
Yeah.
And then the guy just kind of just went off the deep end a little bit. I don't want to be too critical of the guy, because maybe there was some legitimate concerns.
I don't know if he was a billionaire because he had actually left the company before it sold to Intel, and Intel bought it for $7.7 billion, but he was already gone at that point. So I don't know if he was a I'm sure he had plenty of money because he was also one of the things he was wanting in America. He was wanted in America for questioning for some crypto stuff, but they were only talking a couple of $1 million, maybe $20 million that he got from fraudulently pushing crypto at the time or something. So it wasn't an exorbitant amount of money, but he had enough to move around.
Yeah, he was one of the very earliest proponents of crypto as a way of avoiding centralized power. Trying to skirt U.S. the Federal Reserve and the U.S. dollar and the restrictions that. But he was accused of misleading investors, and it was like 20, 25, $30 million that the federal authorities were after him for not reporting that, or did some wrongdoings or something to that effect, and he fought extradition for a long time.
I think from what I'm able to look up here is I think that he his net worth was at $100 million at a certain point, and then that's when he kind of went off the deep end. But they're saying that if he would have stuck it out for a little while longer, it would have been worth potentially over $1 billion, because I think that the company now is worth like $14 billion approximately. So I think
he would have been kind of like a normal, kind of following the path of some of these other tech people. I mean, he definitely would have been probably a Steve Jobs or, those kind of people, as far as money wise. But
we also have, at the time, we had three parties: Democrat, Libertarian, and Republican. He helped found the Cyber Party and actually run for president, starting in the Cyber Party, but then moving to the Libertarian because they just couldn't get enough support. But I thought that would have been fascinating to have a fourth party in there that kind of, but it never really took off. But he actually ran for president too.
Yeah, he did. I think it was in 2016.
I think that was right. Yeah.
Yeah, which I just don't remember his name, because that was the first time Trump was on the ballot, and I just I'm just trying to remember that election because it was so Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump.
And that's why no one heard of it.
It just shows you that. I was listening to a podcast. His wife was talking about that. She basically discounted that he killed himself, that when they went in there and found him hanging with some shoestrings on how they treated him, basically they didn't remove the They didn't remove they didn't clear his airway, which to me is kind of weird, because that's like the first thing you do is you clear the airway of someone that's trying. They didn't do that. So, and then they put him back in his cell. Yeah. They didn't try to bring him to the hospital. They put him back in his cell. So he was alive when they found him, at least according to her. He was not dead in his cell.
Interesting.
So yeah, it was but the wife fought that, but they say an appeals court, basically ruled, said no, his death was suicide. So, I don't know. I mean, you claim that, and
they also claim that Epstein committed suicide too, and he's living large in Argentina right now. Maybe him and John are hanging out together.
Yeah, maybe they are. Yeah, matter of fact, they say after his death, that quote that I mentioned in my intro went kind of viral, and it basically said like online hashtags like, the number sign McAfee didn't kill himself exploded.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, it was immediately that's just what I call that's just food for the conspiracy people to start kicking in and eating on that. So.
And there's a lot of people, if he did commit suicide, why would he do that? Well, this is a true free spirit. This guy did and went everywhere he could. And then, in October of 2020, till he committed suicide in June 23rd of 21. He was in, Spain's not known for their, Taj Mahal prisons, and he may have saw some handwriting on the wall. I don't know where I feel about this one, though I know he did ruffle enough feathers because he said he had a kill switch. And this, he said, and other people believe, that it was an Epstein level type situation with his kill switch, that if something happened to him, all of this stuff would be released. And so you got to wonder, maybe Hillary Clinton did pay him a visit, or, because what did this guy know?
Oh, probably a lot.
Well, he was living in Belize, and he
had a compound in Belize.
Supposedly, he knew all about some of the high ups in the Belize government, about how the government is run by basically the mafia for all intents and purposes, and it's nothing but human trafficking and drugs and stuff like that. So supposedly he had dirt on him, and I know they approached him about some things, and he said, basically, go screw yourselves, and his dogs end up getting poisoned, and they came back and offered him another deal, and he basically told them again, in no uncertain terms, go screw yourself again, and this things went kind of downhill after that. So,
well, and even in Belize, he was having some problems. He was questioning his neighbor's death, Gregory Fall's death. What happened there? His dogs got poisoned. The neighbor gets killed.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on around this cat. And,
well, also, once you, if you're knowledgeable enough in the tech space and you create antivirus and you know how to get in certain places, and, at a certain point, I think you know too much, or you can get in somewhere that you probably shouldn't, and that kind of stuff potentially. So
you become a threat.
Yeah.
You become a threat.
Liability.
I mean, look, the reality is the U.S. government was after him for failing to file taxes for multiple years, and when you owe that kind of money, you're gonna attract the attention. I mean, you owing $25 million in taxes.
That's crazy.
The IRS is gonna be kind of like on you like white on rice. I mean, it's just what it is. And he spent years running away, living in Europe, South America, all over the place, trying to avoid that. So, he's kind of an eccentric character. And,
but you also have to wonder why people thought of it so much. This guy was a genius founder. He was kind of like another little Elon Musk and all these other people. He hated the government.
He did. He
hated the government. And in all of this showmanship, he kind of self-created this myth about who he was. People like that, especially in today's society with all of the social media and all of the Instagram. These people are creating their own myths about themselves. Well, he learned. He did that. He was one of the originals to do this.
Yep.
And I mean, he did a lot. He was a legitimate pioneer in a number of things, social media being one of them.
Yeah. So the SEC accused him of misleading investors and secretly getting paid for endorsements.
Okay.
So, I mean, I think his arguments against the government and kind of being one of these free spirits and wanting to do what he wants to do, and I need to be free of the dollar and the constraints of the financial system as it exists now.
Right.
But these kind of allegations kind of take away a bit of his, if he basically was just had none of these issues, and he was just one of these people of his stature saying, all this financial system is all rigged. It's all corrupt. It's designed to basically keep people in bondage. Mm-hmm. I think if it was just that, I think he would have a very much a welcoming audience, because there's a lot of people who believe that now.
Who believe it today.
I mean, a lot of the crypto stuff was pushed by Trump, and when in his election, a lot of the crypto people ended up voting for Donald Trump, and I still think that the little secret digital currency law that got slipped in there that seems to have now disappeared off the public radar.
Yeah,
I think is going to come back and bite us. But I think he's an early prophet of what I think the fears of what's happening right now, and I think it's just we're kind of in a very tenuous place right now.
Right.
Interesting. So,
I mean, you got to think about it. How does he go from, being this digital pioneer to an international fugitive like that? I mean, this guy, I mean,
what's unusual is just how fast he kind of flipped like this. I mean, it's like something happened to him. There's some videos. I mean, you can look it up on YouTube. I think his last interview.
Oh, he's
out
there.
He's out there. I mean,
more so than me.
He's out there with stuff. I mean, I think there was one thing I saw. He's there with he has drugs and he's just kind of living a kind of life that.
I see. I was thinking it was more so like a paranoia thing that I didn't see what you're talking about, but but I think I now see that there's probably drugs involved.
Attention.
Right.
He loved the attention, but the drugs also bring in a certain paranoia mixed with that attention. Yeah,
I was watching a deal where his wife was giving an interview. I think her wife she was once a prostitute when they met, and I recall her. When they sat down together, she didn't know who he was, and he was taken aback. But you don't know who I am? I'm John McAfee, and he kind of had this persona like everybody should know him for who he was.
I see.
And she kind of was sharing her first experience with him when she wanted to. He said, "Well, just have coffee with me," and they're sitting down talking. Of course, being what she was, she has to get that out in the open first. He goes, "Look, what do you want? This is what I do." Blah blah blah. And they spend a good bit of the day together, just sitting down drinking coffee and just kind of hanging out. And then he asked her to go back up to his room, and she says he was standing at the edge of the bed and kind of rocking up and down on his toes.
Okay.
And it's like, she goes, okay, do you want to do the whatever?
Yeah, right.
She goes, no. She says, do you want to? She goes, all I want is just you to cuddle with me.
Okay.
So that's what they did.
Yeah.
They cuddled.
Interesting.
Yeah. He's definitely a different type of guy.
Yeah.
In that regard. And so, I found that interesting. But there's a lot of good information right now. Of course, now his wife has still maintained that he didn't kill himself, that he was murdered. And
that's interesting.
Yeah.
So when did he start to go off of the deep end a little bit? Was that in the past couple of years, or was that has it been something that's happened?
I think it started happening in the early 2000s.
Okay, I think it was a little bit before that. That's one of the reasons he left the company in '94, because he was realizing he doesn't have as much control over it.
I see,
and some of the things he saw, and when he left, and then all of a sudden it gets sold for almost $8 billion. And I think that's when he started tanking. But maybe the drugs and alcohol and things like that in the 2000s really started taking off from there. But it was, it was coming.
Yeah, supposedly the theories of what what's out there right now of what he knew. I mean, he basically knew crypto market manipulation techniques. Insider trading, they all do that.
Is that
now.
Where the controversy comes in, because it was a bunch of crypto stuff?
Yeah, supposedly that's a lot of it. It's about him misleading some people.
I see.
Earning money from that,
yeah.
and that's, I think, what eventually led the federal authorities to kind of start paying attention to this guy and started coming after him. So whether it was all true or not,
Yeah, but I'm sorry. They were after him for promoting something and not telling people that he was getting money to promote it. I mean, that's a reach, number one.
There's in recent history, there's a big thing I don't know if it's a law, but there's a big thing that has transitioned in the like creator space, like with YouTube, that like you have to disclose you're getting paid for this. If you don't, you could get in trouble for.
So then, don't politicians need to do that with the lobbyists now? Well, I'm getting paid in underground money because I'm promoting this.
Yes, I hate to say it, but that's different.
No, but come on, I mean it's the same thing. It's the same,
but again,
it's different,
right? But if I'm getting paid by a brand to say something, again, that's where it gets to be. They want to at least in the space of, I don't know about John McAfee specifically, but in the YouTube space, like they want that transparency because they don't want people to feel like there was a time when that wasn't the case and it felt
right,
and it was muddy, where people are getting benefits from something that kind of feels a bit scummy. I don't know why they did that, but I'm not sure if that also plays into that. Maybe that he.
His wife basically said before he died, she goes, they talked before his death, and she goes, he sounded hopeful. He was focused on continuing his legal fight. And he was determined to win his case, and says, so there was absolutely no warning signs of his death. So that's why she holds that. No, she doesn't believe that John, and he was 75 at the time of his death, that he did this on his own.
So why? What was he in a prison in Spain for?
For the
crypto stuff.
The crypto stuff.
Oh, okay.
And that's
he was arrested there.
I see.
He was arrested.
They were waiting for a court to approve the extradition to America. Which, if we weren't going to extradite him, why did they even arrest him?
Well, they want to at least say they have him, I guess.
Yes.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, it's as I said, the appeal court basically just ruled that the case is he died by suicide. So.
And he didn't just say if you hear I committed suicide, I was whacked. He repeatedly said that. That was like me.
Right.
About every 4 shows, I say if I commit suicide, he did it repeatedly. He wasn't just said it one time, and he even had a tattoo, I think, on him that said whacked.
Really?
Yeah, I think so.
You have a calling card where you say that every time you're going to say something controversial that could potentially get you killed. So.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
He claimed to have 31 terabytes of incriminating data.
31 terabytes is ridiculous. That is crazy.
That's a lot of data.
That's a lot of data.
Kill switch.
Wow.
Yeah, but none of that materialized.
No, of course not. Of course not. Because you could better believe that after they probably killed him, they took all his stuff and destroyed all of it.
Well, a kill switch is not something you can get to. A kill switch is something when you die, someone, somewhere, something, if.
But all I'm saying is that I wouldn't be surprised if they probably killed him because they had his data. They had his stuff all locked down. They're like, oh no, we don't need him anymore.
Right.
We'll keep him alive because he has the kill switch on us. But then the second we have his 30-something terabytes of stuff, we're like, no, we don't need your reliability.
I think he probably knew some stuff on the Belize government.
Probably so.
I'm sure he did. Somebody with that sort of resources, and you go to those countries like that. I mean,
I wonder if he had any
but he basically says during his time in Belize, which would have been the early 2010s.
Okay.
Multiple locals and associates described him as highly paranoid. He was surrounded by armed guards and obsessed with security and surveillance.
Yep.
And he said it was also tied to the 2012 death of his neighbor, Gregory Fall.
Yeah, we talked about that a second ago.
So
I wonder, oh, man. There's like maybe it's Pandora's box is the analogy I'm thinking of. There's like a level of knowledge of like once you have too much of the knowledge, you can't go back. I met somebody that was like this, that was very good at cybersecurity, that was very knowledgeable in the computer space, and he was very paranoid. And I mean, he was always looking over his shoulder because, again, like he got in. I wouldn't say he got into some bad spaces, but I think he knew how to, and I think he dabbled around. I don't think he was a criminal or did anything wrong, but like I just think he just knew a little too much, or like I said, peered behind the curtain a little too much, and was like it was something that maybe it was a personality thing, maybe it was a mental thing I wasn't aware of some sort of thing he had that was not diagnosed or whatever, but. It kind of sounds very similar to this.
If he's on drugs, one of the side effects I have found with people I've known, unfortunately, that have done that.
Yeah.
Is paranoia.
Well, that's what I said earlier. That's one of the things that comes with drug use is it's not because of the drug, it's because you're using the drug and sometimes the drug.
Right.
And when they mix in there, you're always looking over your shoulder.
And what I was saying earlier was I was unaware that he had like a drug, like a substance abuse problem. So I thought he was paranoid just because of like all the stuff he was doing. But then I was like, oh, but then you add in hard substances. I think it's
both, yeah.
It probably doesn't help mental state with all that stuff.
I think he saw some stuff.
Yeah.
And I think he was, because Belize isn't that easy on drugs. Spain's not easy on drugs. America's the only country that's really easy on drugs.
Man, that's crazy.
Yeah, he engaged in a lot of what they call pump and dump schemes.
Yeah.
That's
a big thing now, especially with all these different like stupid nonsense coins that pop up and
he
promoted
coins after being secretly paid. So, and that's what led the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission to charge him with those crimes. So, I think he was I think two things can be true at the same time. Yeah, he was a visionary.
Yeah,
I think there's probably some truth to what he said regarding, the financial market and the constraints. And what you can and can't do. And he was just saying, this system's not right, and we got to, it's keeping people in bondage, and this is a way of doing it. But at the same time, he didn't necessarily, his actions didn't necessarily match his rhetoric.
Right.
So,
but a lot of his rhetoric has aged pretty well.
Well, a lot of people liken him to Jeffrey Epstein. So, I mean, that's all you've been hearing now.
A lot of the stuff he said is kind of, being proven right now.
Yeah.
A lot of his fears, a lot of the surveillance stuff he was trying to tell people back from his McAfee days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of his stuff has aged well.
Yeah. He's just really super smart guy who had a lot of issues. I don't know much about his childhood. Maybe somebody can Google that if there's anything regarding what was his life growing up. What sort of house did he come from and stuff like that. I didn't find anything. I didn't really go that angle, but that would probably be interesting to see if there's anything on his childhood, and it'd be very interesting what his parents were like. Did he have brothers and sisters? Be very curious what they thought of him.
Okay, right here, right at the top, it says that he had a traumatic childhood.
There it is.
Characterized by an abusive, alcoholic American father and a British mother. Raised in Salem, Virginia, he endured regular violence until his father died by suicide when he was 15. This turbulent upbringing led him to struggle with addiction later in his life, apparently.
Well, an abusive father and a British mother, the cat didn't stand a chance.
Yeah, no kidding, no.
Oh, Miranda's going to kill me for that one. I did not commit suicide.
I'm just curious about, what his brothers and his siblings. Be very curious if they've mentioned anything.
Despite his hardship, he grew up to be a brilliant math student and was an early entrepreneur, selling magazines door to door to earn money. And he later attended college, where he began to follow in his father's footsteps with heavy drinking, apparently. So,
well, there it is.
Yeah. Wow.
The sins of the father sometimes carry on to the son, and especially if there's a suicide, if one of the parents commits suicide, sometimes it does follow with kids that one or more of them will do that. I don't know, but yeah, it'd be very interesting what any interviews with his siblings regarding him.
I'm not seeing readily if he had any siblings or not, but that may just be because I'm not typing things into Google correctly, but he may have been. He had one child. He had a couple of spouses, but I don't think he had any siblings, though. So anyways, but...
Yeah, he was born in the UK.
Yeah.
He was born in the UK.
Had a British mother.
So was he a naturalized citizen then, or?
It says that he primarily was raised in Salem, Virginia. So I'm not sure if there.
They probably moved.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're just saying he was born in the UK. It says, basically he really didn't publicly spotlight family members. So obviously I don't know what kind of relation he had with them. I don't know if they were close. If a lot of times in a dysfunctional family like that, sometimes it's, you don't find that, or they just kind of all were probably looking to all get out and get out on their own, and they just live their own lives, and, who knows? But, I would think if, I would want to know about what my brother would be doing. I'm
looking here. It doesn't say that there's any clearly documented sources saying he had any brothers or sisters.
That's right. That's what I had found too. So I wasn't sure if I was looking at the right person or not. But
he kept his family life very obscure. So,
interesting. He was an interesting fellow.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I'm also looking a little bit in this Gregory Fowl person that we keep referring to.
Yeah, they wanted to question him on that, but
yeah,
he was never charged.
Yeah,
no, never charged. They just wanted to question
a person of interest. It says that the prime minister calls him extremely paranoid, even bonkers.
Yeah, well, I can see why. I mean,
that's interesting.
He had more security than the actual president. So
wow.
It's like, what do you think? I guess if you run around and you constantly think everybody's out to get me, this paranoid delusion just sets in and becomes part of who you are.
Yeah. But it also says, I think it says that he fled Belize rather than cooperate with some of the stuff, which is interesting to see, because that's also, I don't know, it kind of feels a bit.
I mean, you would think,
guilty.
If I'm innocent, I'm going to tell you, look, I had nothing to do with this dude getting, dying. So, but him not wanting to talk about it.
You also said he may have had some information on the Belize government.
Yeah.
And so maybe he didn't want to get put into their prison there and felt it would be safest somewhere else, and it wound up not being so because Hillary Clinton showed up.
It says in December 2012, the magazine Vice accidentally gave away McAfee's location at a Guatemalan resort when a photo was taken by one of the journalists. And it said while he was in Guatemala, apparently he was what does it say right here? Experiencing while on the run, he then appeared publicly in Guatemala City, where he unsuccessfully sought a political asylum. Apparently, anyway, so I guess during that whole situation, he flew off to Guatemala and ran away. So okay, that's kind of strange, but
it's a mess.
Yeah, that definitely is. I don't know. That makes me feel a bit like, like you said before, it probably has to do with the government and the mob. But
when you're that paranoid, you don't trust anybody.
Right.
Well, you don't. I mean, I can understand not wanting to be put in a prison potentially, and then of course they can just then hold you there, and
yeah, that's interesting. How many people so far have we talked about in this show that have quote unquote died by suicide that seemingly is brought about by somebody else? I know we've talked about a handful of people. It's just interesting to see another one as well.
You know, he worked actually as a NASA contractor.
I read a little bit about that.
He worked at Lockheed Martin and Xerox.
See, I think at this point, I think my guy knew too much. I think he had dirt on everybody, probably, and that's the problem.
Well, he founded McAfee Associates in 1987.
Yeah.
And one of the first commercial antivirus softwares. And by the early 90s, that was installed on millions of computers. And as I said, and he sold his stake in 1994. So
interesting. I have a strong feeling that he probably had a lot of secret data on a lot of people.
I think he probably did.
Yeah. Yeah,
because you're connected to everybody's computer.
Oh, yeah.
And for the virus to work, it has to be able to go. You see what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. Well, especially those softwares, like respectfully, I don't like using them so much. Maybe back in the day they were better, but like nowadays, Norton and McAfee are like a virus in of themselves.
But you got to think about this too. Norton had a 5-year jump. I mean, McAfee had a 5-year jump on Norton.
Oh yeah,
a 5-year jump. They didn't come out till like 91 or 92.
Right. But I'm just saying, in the modern day, they do the very same thing where like they are a virus in and of themselves. Like they choke up your computer and they run a bunch of stuff in the background and I hardly defend your computer in a lot of ways, at least from what I've seen personally. Right. I could be wrong, but people love them. And a lot of times I think it's out the box. It's easy to work with. But for me, I feel a bit nervous working with them because I'm like, this is so invasive. Why are you so...
Right.
But...
Yeah. So after he cashed out of his company, he was invested in Yoga Ventures.
What?
Yeah, aereo trekking, which is big ultralight aircraft, like those little small airplanes. And he lost a significant amount of wealth during the 2008 financial crisis.
Okay,
took a big hit there.
A lot of people did.
Yeah, he was very interested in libertarian politics, anti-government ideology, and personal experimentation, including heavy drug use by his own admission. So, yeah. He is basically less CEO and more free agent in his deal. And then during the Belize years, he moved there in 2010. He built the compound and tons of guards, like we mentioned, a lot of surveillance. He claimed he was researching antibiotics. Supposedly, he was actually researching. That's another thing I was listening to on a podcast. He was trying to create an antiviral topical solution to help with like cuts and stuff like that. And he was kind of giving it out to the natives. And I think that attracted some attention.
I found a little fun fact here saying that in December of 2018, he tweeted that he had 47 genetic children.
Oh, yeah.
His third wife described him in a Father's Day message as father of many, loved by few.
Yes. Wow. Yeah. He basically had a harem. Wow. I think he just had relations with all kinds.
That alone would make you paranoid.
All kinds of women. So I'm sure he was.
That's wild.
He was getting a lot of women pregnant. So.
Oh my gosh.
That reminds me of one of the greatest. What was the show, The Clampetts? The Beverly Hillbillies.
Yeah.
When the dad, Jed Clampett, was, they had oil. That's how they got rich. And they're talking to this Saudi prince. And somebody asked the Saudi prince, how many wives do you have?
Yeah.
And the Saudi prince said, well, I got 200 and something wives. And they're like, oh my gosh, how do you do that? And they said, Mr. Clampett, how do you feel about that? And he turned and looked at the reporter and said, well, makes you think if he's got 220 wives coming home, he's probably going to find at least one of them in a good mood.
Stop. Wow. Stop. Oh, man. Yeah. Apparently, also, it says here that 2016 article, McAfee had been using the then legal drug alpha PHP, which he imported from China and which may have caused his paranoia. McAfee reportedly previously used the stimulant drug MDPV in the beginning of 2010.
Sounds like a lot of chemical
made
drugs, synthetic drugs.
A member of an online drug discussion forum called Blue Light, apparently. So yeah, I think there's like you said before, I think there's a lot of chemical stuff happening and playing, sampling of these things that are stimulants and stuff like that are not.
And then you got to think about it. He probably didn't sleep a lot. Because when you're paranoid, you don't sleep.
Oh man, that's
so
bad.
He had some sleep deprivation, drug use.
Dude, you'd be surprised how powerful sleep is, how good it is for the human body, and when you don't have it, how scary and how many things how quickly your mind can play tricks on you.
Oh yeah.
It's crazy. I recently listened to a podcast talking about that, where they talked about like what's actually going on, like what we assumed or what we thought about, what we thought sleep was doing and cleaning our brains of certain things, whereas it's actually more like sleep is cleaning out our gut in a certain way. And that's the thing that can actually kill you is like by not sleeping. It's not nearly your brain getting flooded with chemicals. It's more so your gut in some way not being able to process out certain toxins. Anyways, it was a cool show, but the more they were talking about it, was like it really 3-4 days and you're dead without sleep. And I was like, wait, what? It's crazy.
That's what's killing me about this accident. Before the accident, I could sleep 8 hours.
Yeah.
And now I'm lucky to sleep 2.5 to 3 hours a night. And I know, and it alone can make you paranoid.
Oh yeah.
Not sleeping, not dreaming, not just, it's rough.
It's crazy. And it's
we have to have sleep.
Yeah.
That is so critical. Trust me, I know when I go a couple nights without it, just enough, it does.
Yeah.
It does. And as a matter of fact, I think I saw a study. It's surprising the number of people who don't get enough sleep.
Yeah.
I have to look at statistics.
I'm not gonna lie. I was in that camp but it was more so by choice. I was working more and I was like staying up a little bit later and doing things like that and not getting enough sleep, waking up early and keeping that cycle going. So I was doing it to myself. I have a much better rhythm and routine now for my sleep.
Back in my protective service days, I worked 8 years.
Yeah.
7 days a week, 18 hours a day.
That's crazy.
For 8 years.
Yeah.
Nonstop.
Yeah.
And, but now it's, at least there you could get some sleep.
Right.
Now I'm not given any sleep. I sit there, I look. I'm trying to calm down. And it just, after a while, it just takes a toll on you.
Yeah. And I think also the podcast was talking about it as well, is that it maybe not, it doesn't help out the same way that sleep does, but I think it still does the same kind of thing. Is it just sitting there and not doing anything is still good for you?
Yes.
So even if you're not sleeping, just laying down and like having a second to just not do anything does still help mentally, and it does have the same sort of benefits. So anyways, I'll probably send it to you. It's a really cool episode of the show, and it was, like I said, I was thinking about it. I was thinking about my history and how I used to stay up for a couple days on end and do work and
when
do
you
stuff.
were younger, it was one thing.
Well, yeah,
but you're in your 30s
now. And for me, it is. I could probably still do that now, but it's more so the fact of like I don't want like a long-term issue to happen. Like I'm fortunate enough that like I don't have sleeping problems, and so like instead of like trying to like induce that by staying up or by whatever else, like it is good for me to try and take that time and so I'm trying to be more intentional about like, okay, like I could keep working, but it's also not healthy for you to keep doing that. Have a good balance, have a moment where you can stop and lay down and not do anything and then sleep for, whatever. Like, so
what time you normally go to bed?
11 o'clock, midnight.
Yeah.
But I also don't have to be up super, super early. So I usually will wake up at 7 or 8.
Yeah.
And then I start my day that way. And so
I mean, you can easily do that. I mean,
so I've noticed a rhythm with myself is if I can get somewhere between 7 to 8 hours. A lot of times 7 is probably good enough where I can wake up without an alarm. So if I go to sleep, I can almost guarantee 7 hours, and then I'm probably going to wake up or around 8, depending on how tired I am. But yeah, it's interesting. And I've done some metrics and I've done some little things and some apps and tracking of things like that. So it's pretty fun. Like I said, it's more so it's a health thing of like I wouldn't say it's more so the fact that I'm getting older and I can't do that. It's just that I don't want to do that because I'm generous enough to be healthy enough that I don't have to worry about that right now. But I know if I preemptively work on those kind of things, hopefully that won't be a problem in the future.
We said a bunch since we started doing this together that we want a dream interpreter and maybe we need a sleep, a sleep
analyst,
doctor to come on the show too.
Yeah.
And that would be an interesting show.
It is. It's really interesting.
The mechanics behind sleeping and dreaming.
Exactly. It's fun stuff.
I'd love to get something on dreams, but I don't know who to get for that.
Yeah, that's a hard one.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, just real quick, I was looking at this about some of his claims with his drug lab or whatever he was trying to do. He was trying to new antibiotics targeting drug-resistant bacteria.
Mm-hmm. He was.
That's what he was trying to do.
Wow.
Yeah, he described it as cutting-edge research that could change medicine. And he set up a compound. It was small. It had a team of young researchers, and but the reality is the lab was described as improvised and lacking proper scientific controls, no peer-reviewed research, no published findings, no recognized medical breakthroughs. And some even said the operation was disorganized or non-serious, and the staff was inexperienced, and project lacked scientific credibility. So, and I think his claims of heavy drug use probably doesn't help either, because he's probably
tripping out.
They're probably all tripping out on the drugs they're researching. So, he
pseudoscience.
Yeah, he's pseudoscience. Yeah, he's just this dude. The more I read about him, I just think he was a little crazy.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't help that, like, obviously I don't know, man. I feel like there's like a level of wealth that people get to, and they like go down a couple different paths, and none of them are really good. And I feel like maybe.
Well, I mean, it doesn't look like he had much purpose after he cashed out. I think Stoney mentioned he got like $100 million.
Yes.
And $100 million back in that time, that's a lot of money. And so it's kind of like, what do you do with your life at that point? If you have no, if you don't have no desire to I mean, people that own that kind of money generally embark on some either I'm going to build a business or I'm pursuing some altruistic goals. I'm trying to help humanity or whatever the case may be.
Right.
And it just seemed like he just kind of went down a path of drugs, and then of course it's
women,
women and everything else, and he just kind of lost himself. And then of course the drugs, and that contributes to his paranoia and then all of a sudden you don't trust anybody, and you're locking yourself up in a compound, and you just kind of lose touch of the world. I mean, you can't even function anymore,
right?
In a traditional sense. I mean, so I don't think he would even been possible for him to kind of operate normally.
He was an alcoholic before, or if he was abusing substances before, and then you get $100 million. That's one of those.
I hate to say it, that's probably his childhood.
Yep.
I said sometimes we all hear about childhoods where people have these, terrible childhoods.
Oh, yeah.
But yet turn out to be great human beings and with no problems. And you got others that it seems like they're trapped. It just seemed like it stays with them. He was
definitely trapped. I mean, he was a very addictive person. Alcohol, drugs. Think about this, if he had that many concubines and children, he was addicted to sex.
Yep.
And then he loved the spotlight. He was he was one of the early addicted people to the stage.
Right. If social media was around, would have been around.
MySpace.
Right.
And Twitter. He was on both of those.
Yeah.
Well, he was the pioneer for all of these neurological problems as far as being addicted to likes and shares and all of this stuff. He was just ahead of his time.
Yeah, I saw that Facebook and Instagram got a $3 million verdict thrown out on.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah, that supposedly they claimed that they were addicted, and
Mark said
it made them do something or something. Well, I'd have to look at it.
And did you hear what Mark Zuckerberg said in reference to like children being influenced by the platform or whatever? Is that like he said like the harming of children was inevitable, like because of like and I think he said it in such a way. I'm paraphrasing because I watched a video about this like literally earlier today. It was one video about it, but it said that basically he had said like it was inevitable because of all the stuff that's on the platform and because of how the platform is structured. It was inevitable for it to.
Well, yeah, I mean, you got to get the algorithm where you're gonna want to go and.
But it was just the fact, like I think you said that in like a court setting where there's like, oh, so like you're basically saying like harming children, it's an inevitability. It's like, wait, what? You're just saying?
Are we creating an environment that's not natural? That you're meant to interact with other human beings, and you're supposed to go outside and breathe the air and get in the sunlight, and I think people that just lock themselves up and all they do is doom scroll all day long, and they got some people that do that.
Yeah,
and I mean they just I mean I can almost spot them out. It's like you're doom scrolling too much. You got to get out in the world a little bit.
It's like Miranda and I talk. I've said this before on the show. We go out to eat, see a family of 5 sitting at the table. Everybody in the kids sitting on their phone.
Oh, that's
why?
I mean, I hate to say it. I mean, look at the at my wedding. I remember some of the young people there.
Yeah.
Guess what they were doing?
Oh yeah,
constantly sitting at a table, just staring at their phones, and they're not interacting with anybody. And it's like,
okay, I found it. It says in taped dispositions played during the March of this year trial in New Mexico, Mark Zuckerberg argued that someone was arguing that it harms children, such as sexual exploitation and mental health issues, and he commented saying that it is an inevitable byproduct of operating platforms with billions of users. And so they were like, so you're saying that like
well, right there, a law should be passed that you can't be on any platform until you're 21 years old. Right there. Because they're saying it's more addictive and more exploitive than alcohol and drugs.
I don't know how you would.
It says that Zuckerberg states that when serving billions of people, a small percentage will include criminals, making it impossible to guarantee a perfect or perfectly safe platform. Wow.
But you see, our leaders don't know how to write laws. Virginia just passed a scathing hammer against the Second Amendment.
I saw that.
Did you? How did they word it? You must be 21 years old to be in possession of a gun or accompanied by an adult. You have to be you're considered an adult at 18 in Virginia.
Yeah.
Hello. Yeah, does that kind of cause some confusion there?
Be honest, I just kind of wish they would just simply go back to the way it was before the Vietnam era and just make 21 the age of majority.
Yeah.
I really do.
The last thing I'll say about this right here is he says, while apologizing to the families and other forums, during the trial, Zuckerberg pushed back against the claims that Meta has specifically designed its platforms to addict children, or that it's targeted as young users, which is interesting. So he says all that, and then of course he's like, but it's not specifically designed for that. It's just a byproduct of it, which I think is him trying to like.
Okay, well,
but it's still reality. It's still right there.
Yeah.
Anyways, so yeah. Crazy.
Well, John McAfee was a pioneer in all of this.
And then here we are now.
He saw it coming.
Yeah, exactly. And who knows, he got himself, what'd you say? Whacked? He got himself whacked in the process, possibly.
Yeah. So he's as I'm saying, I think he's I think he's a victim of a bad childhood, and unfortunately, instead of, trying to better himself and try to become a productive citizen, he decided to go down the path of paranoia and drugs.
Well, he started off trying to better himself and better the world with a great product to protect people from...
Exactly, and that's what I'm saying. If he would have just stayed on that path, right. I mean, you can imagine what the guy could be worth now. He probably would be in a lot better place.
I think this just goes to show too is like you got to be careful with substances. Not only just like the hard ones like he did, like psychotics or whatever it was, or the designer drugs he was taking, but like even down to like alcoholism is like all that stuff is like it can get to a scary, like get to a slippery slope where like you can. Yeah. This guy had a whole lot, and that potentially is what brought him down. Is this kind of the substances, which is kind of scary, and probably other things as well. But that's probably a big leading cause. Anyways, let us know what you think about this. If you want to leave us a little short form responses, we got comment sections on YouTube and Spotify where you can leave those kind of responses. We have an email at getoffendedtogether@gmail.com where you can send them more. If you have a wordy little novella you want to tell us about, you can send it that way. Be sure to like and subscribe on the platforms you like to, that you particularly may like us on. I think we're on almost all of them,
and share us. Please, not to interrupt you, but share us.
Share us. We would appreciate that. And until next week, thank you so much for listening. Bye-bye.
Goodbye, everyone, and God bless.
John McAfee was one of those rare public figures that was both genuinely important and genuinely hard to pin down. He helped create the early antivirus business, and that part is real history. But over time, he became something else entirely: a libertarian rebel, a crypto promoter, a tax fugitive, a man entangled in a Belize murder investigation, and eventually a prisoner in Spain fighting extradition to the U.S. The official story of his suicide after the extradition ruling. His family challenged that, which kept the suspicion alive but not proven. So the real McAfee story is not just about one man. It's about what happens when brilliance, money, drugs, paranoia, politics, and the internet era celebrity all collide in one human being. Thanks for hanging out with us today. You're the best. Peace.